At last, it seems we're talking about people who are leaving. For years, the national conversation has been distracted by the spectacle of small boats in the Channel, each dinghy a magnet for newspaper outrage and ministerial posturing and people waving flags in the street. The rhetoric has been relentless. Stop the gangs, close the hotels, tighten the borders. But something more serious is quietly unfolding in the departure lounges. Young British citizens, young British subjects are walking away from their own country in the greatest numbers we've seen in over a century. The new data is sobering. Net migration has fallen sharply. Ministers congratulate themselves and claim success in restoring control. Yet the real driver of that drop is not fewer arrivals. It is the fact that 693,000 people left the United Kingdom in a single year. 109,000 of those were British citizens, and nearly two-thirds of them were aged between 16 and 34. A generation that is supposed to be powering our economy is instead powering their suitcases through the border control, out of the door to the exit. It's not difficult to see why. Young adults are being told that Britain is full, too stretched, too expensive to welcome others. Yet they are experiencing a Britain that is too full, too stretched, and too expensive to keep them. They face rents that devour their salaries, wage stagnation that crushes ambition, tax thresholds that drag more of their income into state coffers, while public services fray around them. A think tank survey found that more than half of young people have seriously thought about leaving Britain. Another poll showed that 3/4 of 18 to 30-year-olds would consider living and working abroad. That is not a few restless graduates chasing exotic beaches. It is a structural indictment of a country that has once sold young people a dream of fair opportunity and social mobility and has failed to deliver. Listen to their reasons. They're not far-stretched. They're not far-fetched. They simply ask why a doctor should endure years of exhaustion in the NHS when peers tell them that Canada, Australia or New Zealand will pay more and treat them better. That is why brilliant engineers, coders, designers or scientists should accept a life of cramped rental flats, unreliable trains, crumbling infrastructure, when places like Ireland, the Netherlands or the UAE offer conditions that respect professional ambition. They ask, too, what exactly their taxes are paying for when their phones are stolen in broad daylight, when they wait months for mental health support, when potholes become permanent landmarks. If patriotism is grounded in shared investment, then the social contract is fraying. Even the wealthy are eyeing the exits. Finance and tech professionals in particular now rank Dubai, the United States and Ireland as more attractive environments to build businesses, start careers and raise families. Parents no longer plead that their grown-up children must stay. Many are encouraging them to go. And yet in Westminster, the priority remains to shout about those who come here illegally. The government hails falling net migration numbers as evidence of success, despite being warned that the real story is emigration. Opposition politicians, meanwhile, wring their hands about record asylum claims. While failing to confront the deeper crisis, the United Kingdom is losing its future workforce and its innovators. Nobody in Parliament seems remotely concerned about this exodus. Every lost graduate is lost tax revenue. Every departing entrepreneur is foregone investment. Every trained nurse or teacher who boards a plane represents public money spent and no public return. There is a word for that. It's called waste. And housing is at the centre of this disillusion. 65% of young people believe it will become even harder to find affordable homes in the next 5 years. No party denies the crisis, yet policy responses remain timid. Promises of reform are offered like weather forecasts, always in the future, never in the present. Meanwhile, monthly rents swallow half of a graduate's take-home pay, while deposits remain distant even for the frugal. We cannot blame those who choose sunshine, security and space. We cannot blame the parents who decide they want a new floor rather than help their children. Of course, some will return. They will bring experience, savings, ideas, but many will not. A nation must earn the loyalty of its young adults. It cannot merely assume it. There's another, more delicate point. Britain's political culture cannot be suspicious of success. Where other societies celebrate risk-taking and invention, Too often ours mutters about jumping the queue or getting above oneself. Most young Britons do not demand to be in Silicon Valley as prodigies or hedge fund titans. They simply want the chance to thrive without apology. And when the brightest voices online are now making heartfelt videos entitled "Why I'm Leaving the UK," something has surely shifted. We are watching the morale of a generation collapse into cynicism, so what should change? Well, first, treat young Britons as economic assets, not as an afterthought. Stop designing budgets that punish early careers with frozen tax thresholds, rising deductions, and declining disposable income. Second, build homes fast. Homes, houses, transport links, digital infrastructure. Hesitation had become our national planning doctrine, and hesitation in building vanity projects like HS2. Third, reward ambition. Make Britain a magnet for industries that value talent, whether in AI, clean energy, modern manufacturing, or creative sectors. People will stay if the future feels local, not elsewhere. People won't stay if all that we offer is HS2, which doesn't start in London and doesn't end in Birmingham in any meaningful way. Finally, change the tone. If politicians spent half as much energy keeping young citizens here as they do keeping asylum seekers out, the entire narrative around migration would transform. You do not secure the nation by obsessing over those who hope to arrive. You secure it by convincing your own children that they belong. This is not nostalgia, it's renewal. Britain has advantages that should be irresistible. World-leading universities, the English language, the rule of law, a culture that has shaped the world, a history to be proud of, but advantages fade if they're not nurtured. Emigration on this scale is a verdict that should be recognised. Young people are voting with one thing far more powerful than a ballot paper. They are voting with their feet. They are telling us that the promise of Britain has worn thin and that it's no point in staying. And unless that message is heard in Downing Street and beyond, the quiet queues at Heathrow departures will continue to grow. Each passenger is not just leaving a country, they are leaving a question behind. Why should anyone stay?